Hey guys, it's Morgan, also known as the Courtroom Crafter. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new here, which mostly everyone is because this is like my second video. Today I am like all decked out in handmaids and I have my hat on. Took advantage of it's actually kind of chilly in Florida for like our 2 weeks of winter went away, and now I don't know, I guess we have some random surprise weather, so I'm taking full advantage of it. This is just, I don't know, this was like a free pattern from Pinterest, and it's a bun beanie, so you can do, you can have your hair like a bun or whatever, and it's a free pattern. It's basically just like a simple, easy beanie pattern, like how you do like the pumpkins that everyone was doing for fall. Is like you just basically knit like in rows back and forth, like half double crochet or whatever stitch. I think I chose half, like back loop only, half double crochet or whatever I think the pattern called for. Actually gonna take this off because now all of a sudden I'm getting a little warm as soon as I sat down to film. I just used some extra posh I had. I made this when we were visiting my boyfriend's like family in Tennessee, so it was really cold and I needed a hat, so I just crocheted this up really quickly, and I used some posh that I had, so size 5 yarn, and yeah, it's really comfy, and you can make it, without I didn't happen to have a hair tie on hand, but you're supposed to start with a hair tie so you get that like stretch right in the top, but it's not that big a deal. I mean, you can just make a circle then crochet around it if you don't have a hair tie, but it is kind of nice to have because if this had a hair tie in it, I wouldn't even have to have a separate ponytail holder or anything here because it could literally just use the one hair tie that's in the bun beanie already. But yeah, I really like it, and I don't get to wear it much. The crochet in chat begins now. I finally, this is what I'm working on, you guys. Can you get, and you're not, I don't think you'll be able to guess from literally just this. If you can, you're really good. But this might give you a hint. Let me see. Wait, it's got the little booty, the little donk. I think the donk is on this side. I don't have it stuffed yet, but and then I made the head somewhere. The head is here. Oh, your girl's had a week, and I know Joann has too, but I'm not happy with her. With my local Joann, we are not happy. We're in a fight. Me and her are in a cat fight right now. Okay, took off my hat and my cardigan too. Wait, I've had that off. I don't know. It was getting a little toasty. Anyways, crochet and chat. Yeah, I'm making this guy, the mushroom guy. You guys know the mushroom guy pattern. Come on. It's went viral. Like, you live under a rock if you don't know what I'm talking about. But I mean, if you happen to be the person who lives under a rock, sometimes that is me. This is a paid pattern, but it is so cute. I'm so excited, and I'm using posh, Big Twist posh, which RIP. Oh, that's that. Yeah, again, Joann. Me and her are gonna have a talk, or me and you gotta have a talk about her. Yes, RIP. I do grieve the loss, but I don't have much sympathy after like some of the business practices. I'll get into it. So yeah, this is what I'm going to be working on today. The mushroom guy. Using Big Twist Posh with the size 3.5mm hook. Because as I said, I do not know how y'all are using like a 5mm hook. Like I said last week, I do not know like how my stitches would be so loose. Even like, shoot, the lighting just got dark. Hang on, let me fix the light. Sorry, the sun is starting to like set, so hopefully the lighting doesn't get completely different, and I hopefully don't have to retake a whole bunch of footage. Anyways, so the pattern, I had it in my cart, waiting to kind of see if she sent me a coupon, which she did send me like 15% off code yesterday, so went ahead and pulled the trigger and bought this pattern. And so far I'm enjoying it. I'm obviously doing the little legs, and yeah, I'm enjoying it so far. I forget what color this is, but yep, size 5 yarn. And I kind of, the pattern, so she used this like a cream for the little dude, and then the little bit of a darker color for the lighter color on the mushroom on the like actual cap. But I'm kind of envisioning it more like, this just seemed more like a mushroom color to me, like the mushroom like stem thing or whatever you call it, like. And to me, I wanted it to be like kind of to seem like the dude, like the little guy is part of like the stem, like it is the stem of the mushroom more. And to me, that just seemed like it would be more seamless if it was like one color, or like this was more natural looking. White, I do want to use white for like the spots, or cream. That's the other one thing I did want to kind of touch on. I use cream. I don't like to work with white yarn, and not much in nature is white. There are very few things that are actually like naturally like a bright white. Like naturally things are like cream or like a very like yellowy. So like if you want something to look natural, you should use cream. In my opinion, I think it looks better. It looks more natural and not as like stark bright white, because it's just not a natural color. You don't really go on a safari. Like, this is a segue, but I worked at Disney and I lived in a Disney family my whole life growing up. My dad worked for the company. We're very fortunate, and he worked with them and had an amazing job with them for like 15 to 20 years. And we had, we got into Disney for free. So when I was a kid, we would go, that's where we would go. We would go there all the time. And like if you go out to DAC, to Disney's Animal Kingdom, you go on the safari ride, like go on any, go see some animals, like come back and tell me, go compare something to bright white, and I promise you, like, it will be so far off. Very few things are like paper white. It's just not, that's not natural. So it'll look more natural, I think, if you use something like cream. Like this guy, he's cream. If he was bright white, yes, it's a rainbow zebra, but as a zebra is cream. It's not white. That's what it is. That's my white versus cream debate. Not that it bothers me when people use white, but I don't understand. Like, I'll be watching someone's videos and they'll say they can't use cream, or like they need to get white, and like everyone's out of white. And a lot of our things are going to kids. Kids love plushies. Like I touched on last week, I don't think comfort items should have an age or a cutoff. Hold on, let me see where I'm at next in this pattern before I keep talking. Okay, sorry. I had to figure out where the heck I was in the pattern so I can crochet while I'm talking to you guys. So hold on, let me just, from my little ADD brain, pop these. By the way, you do not need to get one of these if you don't have one, but I do like to use this little fidget pop-it thing as a row counter. But don't go out and buy one if you don't have one. You do not need this, okay? You don't. So one of the other things we're going to touch on in my chatty video today is overconsumption and my kind of hot take on a yarn wall, or my hesitation to have a yarn wall in my videos and to promote it. Not that says, it doesn't say anything about anyone else who does it. It's my personal opinion and view on yarn walls. I don't love the idea it could easily promote of overconsumption, and I think that applies to every aspect of our lives, and I think that applies to yarn and crafts and hobbies, unfortunately, as well. And I think that this is something I'm passionate about for a lot of ways. It's something that I rely, that my business, my initial business, my selling business, because, okay, so for those of you that don't know, basically, I'm not new to selling online. I have a eBay store. I have sold thousands of items over the years. I'm not new to that. I don't like the term reseller because it gets a very negative connotation. I don't consider myself a reseller. I don't buy. I'm a collector. I collect a lot of things, and a lot of times there's turnover in things I like to collect. I have ADD when it comes to most aspects of my life. Like, the parts of our brain with ADD don't just like shut off when you're doing different things. I'm digressing a lot. So I have ADD when it comes to a lot of aspects of my life, and that unfortunately can include my hobbies and collectibles. I get very into something and I go all in it like right at the start, and that's expensive. It can be, and to fund those, a lot of times I've had to sell pieces of previous collections. long story short, basically, I'm not new to selling things online. So there was a point that I was trying to tell you guys that for. Why was it? I don't know if you guys know. Someone please look up the statistic and educate us all, because I don't know it off the top of my head, but I believe it's something like every minute there's like tons of clothing, of textile garments that goes into the landfills. These things are incinerated. They're dumped into third world countries. They're polluting our own areas. It's overconsumption is insane. Our planet is going to be killed so fast. If you have any, even if you don't have kids or any desire to, carry out any lineage or future generations or anything, I mean, even for yourself, like, treat the planet well. Leave the world in a better place than you found it. Like, it's disgusting how much textile waste there is. I mean, that's really the reason I haven't purchased like clothing new from a store, and I can't tell you how long, since I've been started making my own clothes, for sure. I'm very passionate about slow fashion and anti-consumerism. It has affected me. It's affected me very negatively. Shopping addiction is real. Anything can become an addiction, by the way. We all kind of have our vice. We all have our vice. Let's be honest. I don't care if it's cookies or if it's chips. It might be alcohol, but I am in no place to judge yours. It doesn't make one of us better than the other. If your vice is alcohol and mine is cookies, no one person's better than the other. Like, too much of anything is a bad thing. No one's perfect. But anyways, I'm getting way off topic again. I just am not a proponent of overconsumption. And again, this is not me hating on anyone with the yarn wool. So, like, I don't think you guys will see me. I'm sure I'll do like yarn hauls and stuff here and there, but I don't really want to promote it like that. And it's not me hating on anyone. It's just the way I personally do things or not do things. So that's the other reason you'll probably find me filming here, or I'm not sure where. Maybe I'll show you guys my stash of yarn. Like, even, right now I have plenty more at home. Don't get me wrong. I totally have way too much yarn too. I'm guilty of it too. I'm not saying I'm better than anyone. I just personally, for my channel, think I don't want to say unrealistic, but I don't think it's necessarily realistic for everyone. And I don't want to just be another yarn wall content creator. That sounds a little bit not great. I promise, I love everyone. I love the yarn walls, and I think I will have one someday. But at this point in my life right now, where I'm at currently, I don't, it wouldn't be financially responsible of me to have a yarn wall. I recognize that. The other end of the spectrum, things like complete no buys, like banned on buying anything all year, something like that, I don't necessarily agree with that either. So I'm kind of in the middle. I think that I don't know if it's the healthiest way to go about it. For me personally, would be to just quit cold turkey and say I'm never buying yarn all year or anything like that, because I don't think that's similar to like a yo-yo diet or any really, like, diet, really, right? The best diet is one that's sustainable in the long run, and ideally that you like enjoy, because life is too short to not be enjoying things, especially food. Life is too short. Enjoy the moments, enjoy the food. I just basically wanted to say, I wanted to touch on just that aspect of why you probably won't see like a lot of yarn in my videos. Or I admire and live vicariously through those of you with your beautiful rainbow yarn walls. I love it. It'll be me someday. Right now it would be overconsumption of me. No, it's just one aspect of my life that I'm trying to regulate a bit better and be a little bit harsher with myself about that. Oh, before I forget, to those of you like 54 or whatever that watched my first video, thank you so much. To those of you that like hit the subscribe or like button, and you guys, thank you. Before I forget, but yeah, just thank you to whoever watched my last video and whoever's watching now, even if you're gonna click right off. Thank you for clicking on me in the first place. But especially thank you to Crazy Crafter 3942 and Rianne Garrett for your just really heartfelt comments last week. They touched my heart, and honestly, it made the video worth it. Oh, I don't know if I ever finished talking about this. So I grew up in Orlando, and we were loyal to the mouse my whole life. That was my childhood. It was Disney. Like I said, my dad had a great job with them, and then shortly after he left the company, or maybe before, I basically everyone in my family worked for them except my brother. I worked at Hollywood Studios on Sunset Boulevard. I did the Phantasmic show. And because I was only seasonal, I was not able to get cross-trained at Tower of Terror or Rock and Roller Coaster, but I would have loved to have cross-trained there. But those are technically the same location. Those were my area. Our street, a lot of my coworkers and other cast members did, worked multiple. Just my time at Disney, I loved it. I loved it. I'd be more than happy to talk about that with you guys in another video because it is a very unique experience for sure. And I'm very fortunate and thankful and realized that that was a amazing experience for me that like a lot of people don't get to have. It was amazing. I loved the people I worked with and not the people I worked for necessarily, the guests. I love you guys, the guests and my coworkers. We're like family, my coworkers. And I just love creating magic for people. It was amazing because, we could truly make or break someone's vacation. And just knowing that, like, we had the power to turn someone's whole day and possibly their whole vacation around and maybe even more, their whole year even, Joann and I, we had an interaction. We drove out, we went to Joann a few days ago, and it had said that our store was like the liquidation store or whatever, deemed a liquidation store. The next day, like that was that evening, and the next day is when we went. So I was like, okay, let's get ahead of it. And maybe this is the reason the sales were so crap. Maybe it's just because it was the start. But to me, like, liquidation, the purpose of liquidation is to clear out stock. You're liquidating everything. They're, liquidating. So I go in there thinking it's gonna be like Bath and Body Works, it's gonna be like not Bath and Body Works, Bed Bath & Beyond, and like all these other places, a Charming Charlie's when they close down and they sell literally everything. And I walk in and it's just like 20% off. The only difference is just tiny sign pasted on the door, right? I wish I'd taken a photo of the sign. If we go back there and maybe before this video is posted or something, I will go back and take a photo of the sign because this is really what irked me. This is what got under my skin. And although, granted, I don't work at Joann's, I get it. Your store is literally closing down and you're losing your job, and tons of people have probably been like bugging you, and maybe you didn't have the greatest day. Trust me, like, I empathize. I'm not gonna bug the workers or anything like that. I understand, like, these people literally, one second you have a job, and then like how frustrating that could be to like you find out things when the public does. The level of disrespect that Joann's did to their employees, they just did them dirty, okay? And it's like all these little things, seemingly little things, are not little things. This is why a business is failing. This is why, like, Crochet Vision, she was kind of talking about it on her live, and like she was making great points, and I commented like in full agreement with her on that video, and basically I was like, girl, yes, like, preach. Like, just because we're small business owners doesn't mean we're not business owners. There's some things that are kind of universal, right? Like basic principles of like economics, supply, demand, like business, certain business concepts and principles, like core foundational things, like, are universal regardless of what business you're in. I get we don't manage these multi-million-dollar corporations, but like, dang, I just don't understand what's going on in their headquarters. I just don't know who's running, like, who, just these decisions. And it's like, no wonder the business has failed, has gotten to this point, has been run into the ground. There are just so many things that it's like, well, maybe if you cared about your customer more, maybe if you weren't so stingy, maybe if you stopped, started providing better deals, maybe, and if your margins are crap, then, I mean, no offense, that's kind of on you. Like, you should have foreseen these. You have the resources and calculations to do this, or I shouldn't say have, they had. If you dwindle them and you screw over your customer enough times, it's just, okay. Let me put it in perspective. The crafting industry, do you know how much we spend on craft? And do you know how much crafters and hobbyists are willing to spend when they're passionate? I mean, there's billions. I think it might even be up to the trillions to be made, but it's like they didn't do product research, or I don't know what product research they did because, and what they spent on it and where that money went, because I don't know if you guys ever have seen anyone buying the home decor, but like all the shelves full of all the home decor, always like the insane gross amount of plastic and like stuff that the store has become, and then when you go in for one thing and they don't even have that one color. Sorry, my life. Anyways, like, and how many times can the customer base complain or tell you what they want or using, or how many times can you fail to, I don't know, like, try to pay attention to your clientele a little bit, make an Instagram account, go on social media. Everything is social media these days. You can find out what your customers want. It is about the customer. That's why, like, the bottom line is that it's corporate greed, like, runs businesses into the ground, and it's just so sad, and it's such a shame. But it's like, do we have sympathy for the devil, Like, I stop empathizing at a certain point when I'm like, you screwed us over as the customer, as the buyer. Like, do you know what I mean? I run my businesses completely differently. And yes, I might be just a tiny fish in a huge pond, but like, I'm a fish that's like giving out a ton of fish food, okay? Or I shouldn't say given out. I've happily exchanged a ton of fish food, okay? So like, I do know a little bit what I'm talking about, and I by far not. I made mistakes in my business. I'm transparent and open about it. Taken too long to ship things, and could have been more communicative. But I never ever take someone's money, never even for a second scam. I mean, it's sad. It's crazy that the thing with my store, and again, I am open about this, and we all can run our business differently. That's the beauty of it. It's the beauty of being a small business owner. You can do whatever you want. I try to be as upfront about, in like the few characters it gives me to do so. I say, hey, it's gonna take me a while to ship. I'm not a fast shipper. I'm not Amazon. Straight up, like, I kind of am trying to be like a wholesale type thing. I'm gonna give you a great price. I don't care what you do with it. Make money on me, resell, do whatever. I don't care, whatever. I am upfront about that. I'm like, look, make money off me, whatever, but just, it's gonna take, just take your time. Like, I make it clear. So anyways, you're welcome to not to run your business differently and do same day shipping and all that kind of stuff. Like, if the buyer wins, then that's a win. I might lose money on that, but like, honestly, or the margin might be tiny. Like, I really might not be profiting much, but I care about my customers more. So yeah. But all that to say, like, I'm not perfect, I know. But with that being said, like, the most important thing is the customer. And you screw over all your customers. Like, if your focus is just on getting more instead of satisfying and giving the current customer something of value, letting them know you continue to care about them, like, that's what you should be doing. And I just don't understand these businesses that are just like doing this and just screwing over their customers, and then they wonder why they're failing, why they're running their business into the ground. I'm like, when you continue to do things that aren't working, and you implement things that failing businesses are doing, and continue that and go along with the same things they're doing, how can you expect any different result? How can you expect not to fail? And I didn't mean this channel to be like a business channel, but I do want to give a little bit of business insight into my own personal experience. Do with whatever that information what you will. Anything I say should be obviously independently researched. Do your own due diligence on anything and everything you hear from anyone online. Don't ever go by, whether it's me or anyone else, one person saying something. I don't care if it's like the sky is blue. You know, just like double check if you're going to use that information somewhere else, or even like remember it and keep it in your brain. Just double check. Just make sure to be like, hey, is the sky really blue? Like, and they'll be like, oh, it's a reflection of like certain chemicals in the ozone, you know, whatever. Anyways, whoever it may be, take it with a grain of salt. But all that to say, I'm going to speak on what has occurred in my personal experience and my personal knowledge. And I do feel, to an extent, qualified to do that from the perspective of a small business owner that has sold thousands of things. Oh, so that was just my little, first my 2 cents on that. I'm going to give some business intel here and there. And this is one of those times. It's just like, it's why would you say, oh, let's not do what Amazon's doing. Let's do what these businesses have done that are failing, and maybe we're gonna do it a little differently. It'll be different. It'll be a different result. We won't fail. We'll do it better. We'll do it right. Like, no, do what the ones that are winning, the ones that are increasing. Do what the businesses that aren't failing. Do the opposite of the businesses that are failing, or follow the ones that are doing it right. Like, I don't know why you would expect or be surprised by anything if you're doing the same thing failed are doing. If these guys are focusing on get new customers, they don't give a crap about customer retention and return, you know, discounts and things like that. Because trust me, as I was saying, there's so much money to be spent. Like literally, it is a very rare, I shouldn't say very rare, because America does have a spending problem, but in industry like crafting and hobby, there's such a rare, like, unique amount of money of people that are willing to like throw them, be like, hey, take my money if you just give me this. This is the color I'm looking for. This is the fiber content. This is the, do more of this. We love this. We're here. Take our money. Take it all if you just give us more of this. And then they just kind of, well that'll move revenue up like 1%. Ooh, yeah, let's do that instead. Whereas, like, dude, you would have made way more than that 1% increase if you would have listened to the customers that are telling you we want to spend more money at your store if you give us what we're wanting. All business owner, your issue is not finding customers and it's not having customers. It's just making them happy, giving them a product of value so that they return and feel, and, you know, want to give you their hard-earned income for something of value. Like, wow, what a novel concept, right? Like, instead it's like, oh, what cheap plastic trinket can we like mass produce this year? You know, like and then, you know, we have a small stake in the storage company, so like we'll make money when they have to go store that cheap trinket that they bought last year. Like, anyway, so these are things intersecting, like the consumerism, just business in general, my personal experience at Joann's this week that I still haven't even addressed, but wrong. You could completely disagree and let me know. I want to know. You know, be like, hey, actually, I looked up the statistics, and apparently Joann, you know, spent a ton of money on product R&D, on research and development, and it actually went to XYZ, and this is why they didn't do that. You know, whatever. Correct me if I'm wrong. Please correct me. But like, without the buyer, you're out of business, you know? So like, why on earth would you screw over the one thing that keeps you in business? That has never made sense and will never compute in my brain. I do not understand. I just don't understand that mentality. I'm not saying these people are even going so far as to like scamming people, but like the cheapness of the yarn, you know, there's no reason that these skeins should have like 5 factory knots in one skein, and then when I contact them and tell them, hey, just so you know, like this batch of yarn, like the quality control, I get it. You guys, you know, filed for bankruptcy once last year. Like, I feel bad. I want to spend my money here, but like, this batch of yarn, like the whole skein has got 5 factory knots in it. The next one's like so weak that it's like the texture's off, you know. It's similar to what happened with Sweet Snuggles, except look what Michael's is doing. They pulled the line for now and said, hey, yeah, we gotta fix this. I was actually beefing with Mitchell's before. They burned the bridge with me when they did away with competitor coupons. Like, ever since then, years ago, they've left a bad taste in my mouth. And then they've got stingier and stingier with their discounts and coupons or lack thereof. And it's like, how do they not realize they would be making so much more money because we would be spending so much more of it if they had better deals, if they had more enticing things, if they had offers, if they did a 50% off sale. I would stock up every, several weeks. I want to spend my money on yarn. If you just like show that you give a crap and like reward me and say like, hey, here's some good deals you can get. Like I said, it's not, these concepts in and of themselves are universal. They are things I and you and whoever else has started a business is qualified to speak on, because guess what? Like supply demand, that's universal. If I'm telling you I want to spend my money on yarn, on your item, if you just give me a good enough price on it and like that I'm happy and I'm like, yeah, I'm getting a great deal on this, and you, shame on you if you're like, you know what, we'd be making money here, but the margin's too low. So no, we're not going to put out that coupon. No, we got to do away with competitors' coupons. We're losing too much money, and I doubt they're losing money because of it, but if they were, that's on you. Prices and margins and things like this that's like business 101. A company spend millions to billions of dollars because pricing is so important. It is so important. It is the most important thing. Oh, but yeah, as like any business owner knows, like a margin of something is something you should figure out pretty early on, like at the kind of start. If you shouldn't be producing something that you're going to lose money on. You don't go produce something at mass and be like, oh, here's the price I'm paying and I'll only be making this much, but let me go make 100,000 units. No, you would do that research beforehand, right? So you'd know your margins. You'd have a safe enough way that, hey, even if I give a 50% off deal, we're not making a ton. We're not making a ton on this here, but the customer satisfaction is more important. That is more valuable than the money, the dollars. But the corporate greed is too strong. They care more about squeezing every penny out of the customer. I don't agree with that way of doing business. I just don't. And I think that, not that you deserve to go out of business if you can't provide deals to your customer, but honestly, you kind of deserve the loss. You deserve to take the hit if you mismeasured your margin that much, where 100, it's not that they're losing money or not making money, it's they're not making enough. Not enough. It's not the margin they want. They're still making money, but they don't want to do it. They don't want to do the accepting the, Joann's 50 off coupons anymore, because where they only brought in 10 mil, they could have brought in 12. Could have brought in 10.1. That 10 mil and $10,000, that will tip them over the edge. That's the difference. That's why I'm like so passionate about corporate. And maybe it's for the negative. Maybe I'll be damned. Maybe I'll put myself out of business, but you know what? Like, my integrity will still be intact. My morale. So, those are my thoughts on the big, general, like, macro concepts here of just how does that make sense? Like, it's a very unique issue to have the problem of, like, you've got the buyers, you've got enough buyers, you've got money. You're just like not giving the buyer what they want. Like, how unique of a problem is that? Do you know how many business owners would like kill for that? Like, the biggest issue as a small business owner is, getting the word out there, getting your product out there, word of mouth or advertising. Like, no one knows about you. That's the biggest, like, I would say number one, like, hurdle for small business owners is just like getting out there. But usually we're so much more passionate that like our business is our baby, it's our heart and soul. So like our product, or service we provide, like that is everything. So you're gonna be getting like a lot more value than you would like the corporation, the big box stores. They don't care about you. And by the way, let me just do this disclaimer, because let's just throw this term, reseller. Okay, if you don't like resellers, do you not buy anything from Walmart? You've never bought anything from Walmart? You've never supported Publix, your local chain grocery store? I hate to break it to you. Any business, anyone that has an intention of making money is a reseller. If you don't resell something, if you go into a business with the intention of not being a reseller, you're a fool. Quite frankly, that would mean you get all your inventory and you sell at the exact price you got it at. and you'd be a fool because you wouldn't make any money. So, like, everyone is a reseller. You do realize that, right? Like, the wholesaler, the manufacturer, the person that makes the thing, sells it to the Walmart or the big box or the whatever. They then mark it up and get a ton of money from the consumer for it when they paid pennies on the dollar for it. Now, Walmart actually isn't the best example because they're more of a volume-based retailer, and their profit margins are very low, like in a unique way, in that like very few people, like no one could go head to head with Walmart because their whole, their business model, where they make their money is that like it's a volume mentality. So even if they have such small enough margins, or they're not making money on something, or they're losing, there are products they lose money on, plenty of them. That the money they make in the other stuff, or it overcompensates and then some. You know what I mean? So it's a balance, but that's their whole business runs on volume. There are businesses where like the margin of the one product covers the entirety of the business, and all their other products like lose money. So I'm not saying it's a margin issue. So again, it's like there are businesses out there. Costco, I'm pretty sure that billionaire British guy, I can't remember his name, he did a video on it. He was like, Costco loses money on like their hot dogs or pizza. He was like, they lose money on this to make money on this. They lose money on McDonald's loses money on this to make money on this. It's like, again, if there's additional research, please let me know. But what I found is that is not the case. But anyways, let's just say it was something like they lose money on milkshake to make money on McMuffin. So there are plenty of models out there, and they're like making millions, hundreds of millions, billions of dollars. It can be done. It's not like if you don't have good margins, you're going to go out of business for sure. Like, that's not what I'm saying. So it's all the more reason that it's like, why couldn't Joann just get it together enough to be like, hey, beef with Michael's in the first place? It's like, you had all the resources and all the capability of providing better deals and discounts. You just chose not to. You just truly don't care about the customer enough to do it. That's quite frankly what it is. And if that's the case, you deserve to go out of business. If you don't care about your customer, you shouldn't be in business. All that to say, I don't have empathy or sympathy for, I have sympathy and empathy for the workers, for the employees, but the high-ups, the board, like, what are we doing up there? What are we talking about? What went on? Like, if I could be a fly on the wall in one of those board meetings, I just, like, I don't understand. Do you know what's crazy, guys? Elon Musk has the same 24 hours in a day. The CEO, Joann, same 24 hours in a day as me and you. We have the same 24 hours in a day. The only difference is what those people did with them. We all have the same 24 hours in a day, so yeah. Isn't that crazy to think about? It just puts some stuff in perspective for you. If you're ever like, oh, there's not enough time, putting in the time or the effort, like, well, it's not the best argument because we all have the same 24 hours in a day. Talk about the finish line with the Joann experience, and then I'll give my little tidbit on like life. So we go into Joann's. Again, I did not take a picture of the sign. I wish I would have. It just says final sale in big bold letters, and then some stuff underneath it. But I'm pretty sure I read the full thing, and it did not say on there anything about like no additional discounts, or it was worded weirdly. So anyways, so I see the sign and I think, okay, final sale. That just means no returns. It's a liquidation store. That must mean, like they're getting rid of stuff. You can't bring it back. Whatever. Go in. I'm like, 20% off? Come on. Like, what? This ain't a liquidation. Come on, liquidation you guys been to. No. It's like 20% off everything. I'm like, this is worse than their normal deals. And then I'm like, this is why. This is why we're going out of business. A liquidation sale. I get you start with like a less discount, and then you get more discounted as you still have stock inventory. But like, side note, the speed of this sale, they don't have time. They don't have the luxury of like, oh, let's put out a 30% deal and give it a few weeks. And no, like we gotta wrap stuff up. So like y'all are in debt. You gotta get your debts wrapped up. You gotta get whatever capital you can recoup so you can pay off your debtors and sell your company. Like, come on, this is like 101. Like, except even faster than like it should be happening. So you're in no place to sit here and be stingy with like the final amount of your product. Like your investors and your your debtors, like they're entitled to their money. And you're so anyways, this is my own personal feelings. I'm walking there and I'm like, no way, this is only 20% off. This is the issue. I'm like, is it truly that like the margins are so bad they can't afford to do greater than 20% off? No, of course not, because they do 50% off every other week, But like, if that's the case, then I don't have empathy, because your margin should not have been, you shouldn't have been putting out those products. You should have been pulling some other line that wasn't doing well, to produce more of something, to bring the cost down. Whatever it is, you fixed your margins so you could pass the savings on to your customer. But no, instead you got to squeeze every dime and penny out of your customer. Then I'm going to hold on to my dimes and pennies, Like, I would be throwing them at you, like, take them, please. If you were just like, here, okay, let me give you some great deal on this, I'd be like, oh yeah, take it all. Like, it makes no sense to me. I would be thrilled and overjoyed to have a customer that's like, I have like $200 I'm willing to spend if you can just be like, oh, look, here's some great yarns that you would love, and I'm willing to give you this deal. Like, that's a dream come true. That'd be a dream customer for my business. Are you kidding me? Like, my collectible business, those are my like dream customers. Like, of course I want to give you a deal. I'm here for you to get savings. I'm not here to squeeze every penny out of you. So yeah. So anyways, I'm like walking in there, 20% off everything. I'm like no empathy at all. This is why we're failing. Like, you could be, it doesn't make any sense. Why would you reject more money to be able to, pay up your debtors and be, in less debt at the end of everything, more of your debt? Like, why would you not want to do that? I was thinking, it would be at least like 50% of the whole store, hopefully, and then maybe like next week it'll be even more, but like it'll be cleared out. No, I walked out there with nothing, because it was just like the principle of it. It's like, really, y'all kind of deserve to be failing if it's a liquidation sale and it's 20% off everything. And then on top of that, here's what really pissed me off, though. Here's what really irked me. And again, I'm going to reference this again. I have worked customer service, so I do know what it's like, okay? I have people scream at me and say awful things to me in the middle of my shift that make me burst into tears. Like, I usually can stay strong and keep it together, but this one night, this gentleman, I shouldn't even call him a gentleman. He was screaming at me, and he was like, how are we in the top row of the stadium? And I'm like, sir, the theater opens 2 hours early for a reason. We do recommend getting here ahead of time, and like, we allow like people to save seats and stuff. Like, we recommend getting here way early because it does get crowded. It fills up, and we can't just move people because you got here later than them and you're angry because you want a better seat, or you didn't fully understand how the fast pass worked. The fast pass wasn't reserving your seat. It was just reserving you had a seat. You still had to get here within a certain like time window to get a better seat. So anyways, that's not me justifying or excusing, being a shitty customer. I just am saying that I do know what it's like to be on that end. So keep that in mind. But I went to the register because I was like, you know what? Let's just see. I don't know if I can use it on anything because, they like to do this where they put like everything in the store on sale except for like 2 things. And then you can't use your coupon or anything because it's like, 60% off a regular price item only or whatever. That's the other reason. Again, like, just like Michael's, eliminating competitor coupons. It's like, shame on you. You should have had better margins to keep that in the budget, or figured out why you couldn't have better margins. Like, you guys have the resources and power to like produce something and bring the cost down, or to pull this, or to improve this. Like, there are so much more resources and capabilities for a corporation like that. So like, yeah, shame on you. You'd kind of deserve to fail, like, at this point, if you're that greedy. But anyways, so yeah, so like, discounts are crap. And then on top of that, so I'm like, I'm gonna grab something and just take it to the register and see if it's on, because it was unclear if it was regular price or not. I'm like, chances are, on the off chance I can use my coupon, great. If not, I'm not buying anything. Like, it's the principle of it. I'm not gonna get it if I can't use the coupon. So I take it up there, and I'm like, oh, I don't know if this was on sale or not, so I'm not sure if I can. I'm only gonna get it if I can use my 60 off. She goes to scan it, and then the like, I don't know if it was the manager or the other lady. She goes, no, oh no, it's final sale. I was like, Oh yeah, I know. So like I can't return it. Yeah, but I just want to see if it's on sale so I know if I can use my coupon or not. And she was like, no, it's final sale. I was like, yeah, I get that. That's like you referring to the returns, but are you meaning I can't use additional discounts? Because if that's what you're meaning, like that's not what that means. And she's like, yeah, it's final sale. You can't use any coupons, no discount, and you can't return it. That's what it is. Like she was so rude. Granted, I'm not saying I wasn't the most polite I could have been, but oh my goodness, she was not like I get it, lady. We all have bad days. Again, I work customer service, and there were days, yeah, I did not want to be there, and I probably was a lot less nice than I could have been. I never like snapped at a customer or was like that rude, but like, yeah, and I was like, listen, lady, I don't know why you're getting mad at me. I didn't say this, but she probably had been all day or all week or whatever. Was probably had the same issue with customers getting annoyed or getting frustrated, being like, oh, that's what that means. Like, I thought I could use a discount. She was probably just sick of it or annoyed because she'd probably gone that all day. Well, I'm like, well, that's on you because that sign is unclear, first of all. Like, the terminology, final sale, what do you think? When you hear that, I don't know about you, but I think final sale meaning you can't return it. That is typically what is meant by that phrase. And when it's used in the retail industry, that's typically the meaning or the gist of it. So when something is like a common term, like trade usage of a term, you don't just tweaking the term or using it in your own weird, unique way and then like putting a sign up and thinking that's going to get the message across. It doesn't, like, that's not how it works. It goes off what is the customer perceive? What's customer perception of something? And again, it's just like them not caring about the customer. They just don't think about it from a customer perspective. And honestly, it's almost like deceptive in a way, deceptive or false advertising, because quite frankly, if it said no additional coupons or discounts, like clear in there, I wouldn't have even gone in the store. Or I would have gone in to see if it was like 50% off, and when I realized it was only 20%, what the liquidation crap deal was, I would have turned my booty out and walked right out the door. But because I didn't say that, I stayed, I shopped, whatever, because I didn't know that's what that meant. Because they didn't make that clear purposely. I'll bet you it was done purposely. Like, it's not, so it's the principle of that. Like, you're not even thinking about your customer in the sense of like, hey, how would the customer perceive this? It's all about like, ooh, well, what can we do to kind of like make it not so obvious that like you can't use your coupons, but like, ooh, let's just say final sale, because like, final sale means like whatever the final price is the sale price. I think that's what they were trying to make it say. And I'm like trying to tell the lady, and the lady was trying to argue like with me, and I was like, lady, like, I'm not trying to argue, like, you're saying that's not what that means to a customer, is what I'm trying to like explain. And like she was getting mad because she's like, well, that's what it is. And I'm like, oh, okay, I was just trying to like show you that like from my perspective, the reason I'm confused like is because when you use that phrase, typically that means like no returns. So as a customer, that's not clear from the signage. And she was like really just getting so upset with me. I'm like, I get it, like your store's closing, but like if you're the manager, like you're the one putting out the signage, if you're either purposely, intentionally putting it out to be like unclear, or like I don't care about how this reads, because any customer, like I said, this is the phrase final sale, that means like no returns. You can just as easily put something on there that says no additional discounts in just as clear letters. Like, you are purposely trying to hide the ball. You're purposely trying to make it hidden and like screw your customers over. I get it. Like, I walk around the store, shop a little. Of course, I'm way more likely to buy something. But that's not the point. Like, your business is going under for a reason. Your business is going under because you screwed over your customer so many times. But let's just do it one more time. Let's just put the little cherry on the cake. I just don't understand. It's like they literally had the warning. They got the slap on the wrist from the first time. They got the mini bankruptcy. They were in hot water. They were warned. Their debtors were like, hey, fix it. Like, hey, you guys are going under. And what do? They don't change anything. They continue to do the same stuff that's driving their business into the ground. Nothing changes. And they keep going downhill. An object in motion. Let's see, we're not preventing anything different, but we're expecting it to just go back up on its own. No, like, And now we're getting into the laws of physics, but which I'm not qualified to speak on at all. That is way far from my lane. But yeah, I'm passionate about it because I'm a business person. I'm an entrepreneur myself. I'm a businesswoman, but at heart, like, I'm a customer first. I'm a shopper. I'm a buyer. Like, I get it. The difference in mentality, the stark difference is wild to me. It's wild. Like, the higher up the corporate greed of, like, the amount of not caring about the customer versus, like, small business owner, it is wild. But I haven't even gotten a row done because I've been so passionate about that. So that's my rant on the Joann situation. Tell me if you guys' stores had this, because I think it's probably location specific, and either that individual owner or manager is the one that probably puts the signage out. I want to say I don't think it's company wide, because I would be surprised that that'd be not authorized, but like I said, like a common phrase that has one meaning, you kind of expect it to carry that meaning. And unless you're told otherwise, why would you have a reason to think differently? With you, if they have reason to believe that final sale actually means final sale price, because you could have just as easily just stuck the word price in there, and it probably would have been a little more clear. All the evidence points to it was intentional to be misleading. And again, this is a big red flag of, why would you want to intentionally mislead your customer? Hey, it's not surprising your business is going downhill. We're doing things like this. We're doing shady things like this. No offense, but you don't see Amazon sitting here with a sign that says final sale, and what they mean is you can't return it and no discounts. You don't see Amazon sitting here with a thing that says free returns, and then you got to scroll all the way down and it says just kidding. Like, you don't hide stuff. You don't hide the ball. You don't cover things up. That's fraud. Just as easily made the sign read something else. Hey, no one else in the industry is having signs like this. Hey, the guys that aren't failing and obviously don't need a liquidation sale, I wonder why. Hint, hint. Maybe because they're not doing things like intentionally misleading their customers, even when they're on their last legs and in no position to do so. Passionate there. I'm passionate about it because, yes, we all loved Joann's. It was a beloved store, and look what they did to it. Look what corporate greed did to it. It killed it. Drove it into the ground. Okay, the last, kind of hot take I wanted to touch on was underpricing and why it hurts the entire industry, and it affects other artists and creators, not just yourself. I'm sorry, but it's not just about you. I cannot stand all the people on Facebook. I don't do this full time, so I don't really care. Or I don't do this full time, so I don't need to price it higher, whatever. Like, as if people that do it full time are gonna take advantage of their customer, which they shouldn't be. No one should be taking advantage of their customer, but just because you're not doing it full time doesn't mean it took you any less time to make or crochet or that you're, did you buy that yarn and say, hey, I don't do this full time, can I pay half price on the yarn? Like, no, the supplies cost the same, the work is the same, the material's the same. So in and of itself, that's not a good argument. But secondly, that's silly. Why would you, especially because this person was at a market on top of things. I don't even do markets. So if you're not just selling, but you're doing a market, I'm sorry, but you're a little silly if you're like, oh, my point isn't to make money. You're there to make money. You're just kidding yourself. You're a fool if you're like, oh, I'm here to, unless you're, then give your stuff away. If you're there to give your stuff away, by all means. But if not, you're there to make money, period. Whether you're like, oh, my margin is lower, that's a different thing. That's your lower margin. That's not, the argument isn't, oh, I'm not here to make money because I only do this part-time. Like, no, you're still wanting to make money. It's not a different, it doesn't change anything in the pricing. Not only that, but it lowers the industry standard. So on top of it being not a good argument that I don't do this full time, or this isn't my main source of income, or whatever, on top of that being a bad argument just for those reasons I already stated, you're hurting other people that do it full time. When you say that, you do realize that, right? Like, this is what I was trying to explain on the Facebook comment. And she was like, what did she say? She was like, I don't do it full time, so I don't care. And I was like, well, you know, it's a little egocentric of you, because there are others out there that do it full time, and they deserve their worth. They deserve to get paid fairly for their work, and like, if they, what's fair to them. And I'm not here to tell anyone how to price their stuff, but I will comment when I think you're undervaluing your own work. And again, it hurts everyone. It hurts everyone else. And when someone comes along that's not in the niche or not in the hobby and not familiar with crochet, and they see that yours is $5 and theirs is $8, they don't have any idea why. And again, there is no like logical reason. It didn't take less work or anything, but you're basically saying like their work isn't worth $8, or you know what I mean? Like, the buyer doesn't understand that difference, and now they're gonna think that this person's overpriced, when really, like, you were just underpriced. They weren't overpriced. You know, if you guys realize, like, I touched on this a little bit earlier in the video, pricing is the most important thing when it comes to selling anything. Companies spend billions of dollars, like, a year research to develop their price. The people that say they don't want to overprice usually haven't actually done any research into how pricing works and the mechanisms that go into it, and the data and the research that the guys with the money and the resources that spend all that, and why they do that, and why it's so important. Usually those people have not done any research or actually looked into any of it, so they're just saying, you're just not. I'm not qualified to speak on everything. I'm not. You're not either. Like, do you know what I mean? So it's just funny. It's just ironic, because these people are just they only think about themselves. And maybe they're thinking about their buyer, but they're not thinking about other sellers. They're not thinking about other artists. They're not thinking about other creators. They couldn't care less about you. It's sad, quite frankly, because they're basically saying, they're not invalidating you for doing it full time, but in a way they kind of are, because they're like, hey, look, I don't do this full time, and it ain't worth your price. Like, who are you to judge someone's full-time job? Or, you know, having your price too low is actually a bigger deterrent. You're going to get less customers and less sales, actually, than having something be overpriced. You can always lower your price. It's very difficult to start at the bottom and go up, and think that, again, this is one of the issues we run into with Joann's and Mitchell's. It's like, if inflation has been at a steady rate of like 8% a year, or whatever it is, 4%, whatever it is a year, and we can anticipate like 20 years out, and let's see, like, as this grows, is our margin here enough to carry this product? Is it shrink? You know, whatever. Like, all these things that are like numbers that should be known, and are like formulaic, and there's algorithms and things to like calculate and determine, and they have the money to like determine these things, so they have no reason and no excuse as to why they didn't do these things that they should have done, their due diligence, before carrying products or whatever. It's beyond me. But anyways, it goes back to that. It's, again, being underpriced is worse than being overpriced, and it is more important that your price is correct. And it's actually like think about it. When you're a buyer, I want to buy something like nice. If it's going to be a gift, especially, I think that's why a lot of times there's some people on YouTube that I think their prices are way too low, and they're like, oh, this didn't sell, or I had this next, and I also had this, and this, none of these sold. And I'm like, well, yeah, because you had a very similar thing, and it was $20, and that's $25. So me as a customer, I'm gonna go for the $20 one. That makes sense. That's logical. But also, like, a lot of times if they're going to like a farmer's market or something, or looking for a gift, like a baby gift or something, oh, it was like baby blankets. I'm like, those people are always going to baby showers. People are having a lot of babies. The baby industry, there is money there. People splurge on their babies. Okay, so there's no. It's not like there's no money to be had. It's not like there's no money there. A lot of times people are actually pricing too low, because, again, if I was to see a beautiful baby blanket, it was like crocheted, and I was going to a baby shower, I'd be like, oh, perfect gift. And they're like, oh, $20, $30. I'm like, actually, no thanks. You know, it's like, I want to be proud to give a gift and be like, you know what, I spent the money on this. It's a quality item. They worked hard on it, and I spent a pretty penny on it. And like, be proud to give that to someone. But people are like pricing things at $15, and they're like, I wonder why this didn't sell. And I'm like, well, it was priced too low, actually. That is, like I said. And if you look at data and research statistically, like, oftentimes it is the case, underpricing is more of a deterrent than overpricing. You can always discount something. You can always put it on sale. Buyers love a deal. Buyers love sales. It's a lot easier to go from high to lower than it is to go from low to higher. You have to start high. That's why you have to build in enough of a cushion in whatever the product or the margin is so that you can afford to do that and to give your buyers deals and to satisfy customers and to not screw them over. And maybe realize, hey, if the margin already is like here, and as the years go on, like it doesn't afford us enough room to give them a deal, hey, maybe we shouldn't carry that line or that product. Like those are the decisions that need to be made to create a sustainable business. So that's why just underpricing bothers me, because people just don't know. And they're saying things as if they're fact. They're like, oh, this is what sells in my area, or these didn't sell. And I'm like, yeah, it's actually because you underpriced it. And they're like, oh, this doesn't sell in my area. I'm like, really? Because if I could find a buyer in your area, I will find one. I will make it my mission. I'll see you back here, and like, it might take me a few weeks, might take me however long, I will find one though. So, like, or no, it's like, they'll be like, oh, well, that price doesn't sell in my area. Well, maybe your area isn't the best. Maybe that small town farmer's market, maybe that's not where you should go sell your crochet. Maybe you should drive an extra 2 hours, or don't do markets and sell it in a different venue. Maybe it's the venue that's not correct. It's not the price. It's not always just, oh, this is priced too high. People don't have the money for it. No, it's not always what it is. There are so many other issues and so many other reasons that deter people from buying something. That's not business. You think Walmart, their only factor that they look at is what is the likely to the price range for this one thing in my area, or what is like this one particular location's Walmart, like what are they likely to sell at? Let's do that in all. No, like that's not how business works. Running a business is a lot. There's a lot that goes into it. And if you're making crochet with the intention of selling it to anyone, it's a business. Whether you do it part-time, whether you sold one item, whether you sell at markets, it's a business. You're doing it with the intention of turning a profit, are you not? If you weren't, you would be giving items away. And if that's the case, go give them away. You don't need to sit there and make $0 on it. Otherwise, if you're selling your stuff, you're doing it to make money. If you're selling your stuff to not make money, you're a fool. Like I said, if you're selling your stuff to lose money, go for it. Just go give your stuff away. But the point of selling things is to make money. That is the definition of a business. Congratulations, you're a business. Like, you sold one thing, you go to a market, congratulations, you've graduated. Like, whatever this anomaly term business is, what people think, like, oh, I'm not a business owner, I don't do it as a business, it's a hobby. Like, there is no, that's some arbitrary distinction. Whatever that hurdle or that cap is, like, congratulations, you've reached it. You're business level. You're a business. Start like looking at your numbers and trying to make a profit. Trying to make a profit doesn't mean you're screwing over people. It's not a bad thing. Making money is not some taboo. Like, are we not all trying to make money? Do you not all have a job or a career? Like, you have to. That's how we pay bills. That's life. It's living in America or wherever you live, you know? Unfortunately, it's a part of life. It doesn't make you a bad human to want to make money or to try to make money. It's the way you do that. If you're doing that in a shady way or in a way that you don't care about your customer, then yeah, that makes you kind of a crappy human in that moment. So that's my thoughts on it. It's funny. It makes me laugh when people are like, oh, I'm not a business. I'm just set up here on the side of the road with my goods, selling them to people to make money. I'm like, Webster, so you just literally define. I'm like, wait, let me just Google this. So the definition of a business is literally what you just defined, but you're saying I'm not a business? Is that my understanding? Like, do we like hear the silliness and the foolishness and the contradictions? Like, in 10 seconds, I can go look up on Google what the definition of business is. And you're saying, like, go ahead, tell me yours is not that. I'll wait. You know, so it just makes me laugh because I'm like, that's such a foolish reason for being lazy. You're just too lazy to like do the research and realize, hey, no, actually there's like data and empirical information on like why this concept of pricing is so important. And like, yeah, I'm like, instead of putting either like your buyer above other creators and being like, oh well, they're, I value, you know, I want to save them money rather than like keep the industry standard high for other creators. No, why don't you think in terms of like, hey, no, why don't I provide something of great enough value so that, like, they're, why don't we please them both? They're not mutually exclusive. You don't like have to put, you know, the buyer at the sake of, you know, hurting other artists. Excuse me. We can benefit both. We can aim to provide a product that's valuable enough that the buyer feels happy and, you know, that it's a value of spending that higher up dollar amount, while also keeping this industry standard at a certain level. For others, that is that there is this, excuse me, that this is their full-time income. Because I get it, you don't care about them, but bottom line is it does affect them negatively. So instead of thinking of it as like I'm hurting my buyer, why don't you think of it as like, hey, what else can I provide to my buyer to max out them, to give them a better value so that I can increase my prices to maintain that standard for the industry as a whole, regardless of whether I'm selling one thing once a year, going out to markets every weekend. I could be working a full-time job and still doing markets every weekend. When do I become a full-time? You know what I mean? Like, it's your definitions of like putting yourself into this category don't change the numbers or the outcomes and how things affect other people. Your interpretation of where you fall in like a, whether you're a business owner or not, like, it affects other people's bottom line too. So I think that's pretty much everything I wanted to kind of that I had a passionate something prepared to speak on. I feel like I touched on a lot. So yeah, I think I'm gonna call it for this video. I got like maybe half a row done, if that. So the crochet in chat kind of failed. Excuse me, that's only my first attempt though. Maybe we can try again. But I think that's pretty much everything that I needed to just like vent to you guys, pretty much. Or not vent, but like, it's been a week. So that's been my week, pretty much, to sum it up. Oh, I do, on a happier note, we went to this beautiful park. We walked along. It was beautiful. I'll put in some little clip at the end of the video if you stay till the end. It's beautiful. And if you guys like that, if you like seeing, we just like go and discover, or not discover, there's so many like beautiful parks and just like natural like areas here. It's beautiful, truly. And I realize how blessed and amazing it is to like be close to the water and have these beautiful sites and places, because I don't have as many up in Orlando, you know, where I grew up and stuff. So my boyfriend, we have been going to like different parks and just seeing all the scenery and going around on the sites and seeing like what makes St. Pete, you know, just like beautiful, and the stuff that's been around and isn't all developed and stuff like that. So if you guys are interested in seeing that, I like to see it. I think it's nice and peaceful and serene, and I can take you guys along with me if you maybe like don't really go to Florida and stuff too. It might be cool to kind of see, like, I like seeing like the snow outside of y'all's places, so maybe like you might like to see the little Florida wildlife signs and stuff like that. And yeah, because we do have like a lot of natural parks and stuff around here actually, and I love going to them, and usually they're free, and we just love getting out and like walking, and I usually bring a project, and just, it's awesome. So I will probably show that stuff, and if you guys don't want to see it, I'll probably just put it at the end of the video so you can just like skip or something. But if you guys enjoy it, just let me know, and I can maybe put like more of it or less of it or whatever. And again, yeah, if you guys have any thoughts on anything I've talked about today, don't hold back. It will not, I shouldn't say it won't hurt my feelings. I am pretty sensitive, but I can be tough. So like, I want you to challenge me if you have something to say that's constructive, or not necessarily mean. We don't need to be mean or rude or anything to me, but like, if you have something that's constructive criticism, or you disagree with something I've said, let me know. I'm interested to hear your thoughts. Bye guys. Just a dog and no human. Oh, there's a human. Get you a man that holds your yarn when you walk. Just Florida things.
Water goat.
What is a water goat? Collects trash that washes in from storm drains. Help us protect water and properties from flooding. Huh. So basically it's just saying don't litter? Well, yes. Thank you. Please don't litter. Especially in a park. Yeah, so unfortunately, just like the other side, this bridge might be closed. Because of the hurricane, yep. Sad. Still beautiful though.